Boy, oh boy, are people crowing about the success of Ghost of Yotei. And perhaps they should. I just know I got a little bored of seeing it all over my timeline on Twitter. Just reading from this tweet from Culture Crave, Ghost of Yotei sold 3.3 million copies in 1 month, and Tsushima sold 5 million copies in 4 months. And I've heard of all kinds of other circumstances, such as Ghost of GOT. I'm going to call it GOT, because I can't say that damn word. It sold most of that in the first week. But then again, you got to consider that we were under the COVID lockdowns at the time. But also, Ghost of Yotei selling 3.3 million copies, that's nothing to scoff at. But of course, a lot of people are taking this as an opportunity to crow. Such as here, Ghost of Yotei sells 3.3 million in its first month. Officially a commercial success. Further proving that a lot of the culture warrior noise is just online. If you make a good product, people will buy it. Simple. People hoping it would flop will change narratives now. Another account decides to be a little bit more, twisting the dagger. All that whining about a female protagonist DEI woke was just performative. Never change, grifters. I don't think that was really the problem people had with the game, but, at this point, you can't expect these people to understand any perspective other than their own. Indy Meon said this. I should mention he's responding to somebody saying bitch is mad because Yotei sold well. Gotta love it. Little bitch boys are moving the goalposts as we speak. Jesus, dude, this is sad. One game does decent and y'all act like you just discovered gold. Assassin's Creed Shadows flopped, Kill the Justice League died. Every other game you championed burned and crashed. So I get why you're clinging to it like it's a life jacket. But I tell you what, let's do this. Let's read an article on this, right? Let's find out a little bit more about what's going on. Of course, the title is just 3.3 millions in the first month. As part of its latest financial results, Sony said Sucker Punch's PlayStation 5 exclusive action adventure sold 3.3 million units in the 32 days since going on sale in October 2nd. So sales up to and including November 2nd. So that's something else to remember, is that this game is only on PlayStation 5, unlike Tsushima, which was on PlayStation 4. There's more PlayStation 4s out there, which could have led to more sales for the previous game. I'm a PC player, and even I have a PlayStation 4 floating around here somewhere. Sony announced the figure without any commentary, so it's hard to know whether the company is happy with the result. However, there is a great deal of context we can add that helps us paint a picture of Ghost of Yotei's commercial success. The first comparison we should make is to its predecessor, Ghost of Tsushima. It sold 2.4 million copies in the first 3 days, after going on sale exclusively on PlayStation 4 on July 17th, 2020. Then hit 5 million after 118 days, just shy of 4 months. It's now up to 13 million copies sold, including sales of the PC and PlayStation 5 Director's Cut. So there's something else to remember about the previous game, is that it eventually went on sale for the PC and the PlayStation 5. The article continues, so it's worth remembering that while we don't have a figure for a comparable period of sales, it looks like Ghost of Yotei is selling about as well as its predecessor before it, a suggestion backed up by sales data from the US and across Europe. Now, that is something I find very frustrating whenever I try to look in. I hate looking at numbers anyway, but then there's no direct comparison. I mean, is there really no direct comparison, or is it just not being shared? And then we'll conclude with this. But is that good enough? We need to consider that Ghosts of Jesus. We need to consider that Ghost of Tsushima came out on the PlayStation 4. I'm sorry, I just can't believe I can't say that word. Which in the summer of 2020 had a much bigger install base than the PlayStation 5 does today. And amid the stay at home gaming boom fueled by the lockdowns, Ghost of Yotei also sold for $70, with $10 more, which means its dollar sales are greater compared to the cheaper predecessor, whose standard edition launched at $60. Now, here they go into the theoretical, such as Yotei still is walking into the holiday season, so people might pick it up for Christmas. And then also there's a planned DLC multiplayer.
I like this video to video reply thing, so I might as well do that to you. So good points made on both sides of it, but I would lean towards we were right at the end of the day, because put yourself in the place of Sony making a game as a follow-up sequel to a game that was a breakout hit. And instead of a typical follow-up that you'd expect, they go with the girl boss, Antifa, pushing ideology, whatever the fuck they did with it. And then what happened? The game sells 3.3 million in 32 days, which people are like, oh my God, that's a lot. That's so many, which it's a decent amount to sell. But again, how many would it have sold if it was actually Ghost of Tsushima? If it was actually Jin Sakai in a proper sequel that people were demanding and wanting, as opposed to going down this path that they went. Now, if I was running the company and I saw this, I'd say, man, feels like we left a lot of money on the table. That's all I'm saying.
If he was running the company, he'd feel like a lot of money was left on the table. And he could be right. But then again, that doesn't change the game making money. And let's face it, ideologues are more concerned about the message than they are about the bottom line, as long as they can keep the lights on. By the way, my name is Heretic Prince. And dear listener, if you like what you're hearing, please feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave all that stuff that feeds my ego. But I gotta say something here. I was very surprised at how much coverage the cell numbers got. It's like people are just trying their best to claim a W or hand out L's. And then I hear people say, oh, well, they're lying about the sales numbers. I mean, granted, maybe that could be true, but that would be a very dangerous game. I mean, how many people out there honestly buy a game based on its sales numbers rather than just if their friends are playing it? Like, I can tell you, I'm not buying this game. I don't give a damn how high the sales numbers are. Are gamers actually influenced by how much a game sells or is reported to sell? If I'm not interested in a game, the only way I will buy it is if my friends are buying it and want me to play it with them. Never once do the sales numbers cross my mind. I mean, could they be lying about it because they want to manufacture FOMO, fear of missing out? Granted, I am not a genius whenever it comes to numbers, sales, economy. I will grant you that. But it just doesn't seem very feasible to me, given how many people are going to raise their eyebrows when the dividend checks start going out. But I'm not going to tell you that I'm 100% right here. This is one of those many times where I will ask you, dear listener, if you think I'm wrong, or if there's something wrong with my logic, or if there's something that you can add to this. Some information you can give me to help it make sense as to why people are paying so close attention to this, please leave it in the comments. I promise you, I will read it. Now I'm just going to touch on a couple other things. Now, granted, this is a random tweet. I don't know if this budget is true, but it says here $60 million as a budget, and it made $3.3 million. That's quite a profit. But of course, profit isn't everything. There's also just simply the work and everything that goes into it. But still, that's a lot of money. And then there's this tweet where Smash JT says, reminds me of when Ubisoft lied to their investors, telling them that positive sentiments surrounding AC Shadows. Okay, so first time I read this, I misread it. I thought he said positive sales. No, he's talking about the positive sentiments. There was quite the firestorm around Assassin's Creed Shadows, but then again, we have to remember, was this all on the internet? Was this all Twitter? Or was this really in everyday life? Sometimes we have to remember that we get so involved in these online communities, we lose sight of what's actually going on in real life. And we think since we're surrounded by so many people in the online space who agree with us, we think that the whole world agrees with us, and that's simply not the case sometimes. But something that I saw, which I found to be a little fishy, was this article by Game Rant. Ubisoft reportedly wants Steam to hide concurrent player count data. And this was published on November 26th of 2024. Just to give a bit of credence to it, let's read the first part here. A Ubisoft insider has shared that the people at the company have reached out to Valve, asking to limit the visibility of player count data. Concurrent player counts have become a valuable source of information in the gaming industry, especially when so many video games include online community aspects enhanced by their popularity. Despite how important these numbers can be to players, this plan could help Ubisoft in the long term. Now, I wonder why they would want to hide that. The only reason I could think of, really, a legitimate reason, is you got a new game out, and if it's not selling well, and it's a multiplayer game, you want to hide that it's not selling well so that way people think they're walking into a robust community. I mean, you certainly wouldn't want to hide high numbers from people, because the more people playing a multiplayer game would help you sell the game. I don't know. I'm willing to admit, whenever dealing with sales numbers and things like that, that's a bit over my head. I just found it interesting how many people were flipping out over these sales numbers, some denying them, some people crowing them as the greatest gaming achievement ever in history. I just find it odd that a game that was such a big hit, its sequel didn't blast by it. I mean, first thought that comes to my head is the Arkham series, Batman Arkham Asylum. People bought it. It was such a great game that everybody who bought the original bought City, and people who never played Arkham Asylum also bought City, so the sales numbers went through the roof. And I'm not going to sit here and pull them up for you. I just simply know that game did better. You can take my word for it or not. I don't care. But I also have to admit that I question the idea that a gaming company would lie, or, because something I only found out recently is that they have a third party who has to track their sales number. The idea that that third party company would damage its own reputation to try to push fear of missing out on the players, I don't see that happening. Their livelihood, the existence of that business, Circana, I think that's the name of it, Circana, its survival based on the integrity of its data. Now, would a gaming company lie? Maybe, but like I said before, that's going to be awfully dangerous when the stakeholders start asking questions as to why they're not seeing their stocks go up. Anyway, let me know what you think. Tell me what your opinion is. Maybe you can educate me here. As always, thank you so much for listening, and I really do mean that. Your time is precious. This is Heretic Prince, signing out.